Here today, but Pastor Hershey obviously isn't here. His mom's in the hospital. And then Terry and Phyllis, they're not here because
Granddaughter passed away.
their granddaughter passed away, so they're struggling with that a little bit. So let's keep those guys in our prayers. So when we started our church here, our getting together here, it was just our family, our kids. And then it grew, but it's amazing that we have such a small setting, but it's been so impactful for us, right? Your first time here, but you know, you kind of get the gist.
It's never the same, so.
It's never the same. You know, we started off in a circle in our living room, and each family member sharing a little bit, and we were going through a book, and we asked Pastor Hershey at one point, she didn't like to be called Pastor Hershey, he's just Hershey, who happens to be a pastor, if he wanted to participate, and he says, heck no, you know, kind of blew us off. He says, nobody does that. And then, so we were diligent. Stacy's had a vision, and it was good. And out of that, we've got a cousin or whatever, different to all of us, but Tate, you know, Tate didn't believe in God whenever he first started coming and thought it was silly, and now he's one of the most on fire guys that we know. So he runs a coffee shop just so he can have a ministry. And then out of that, it restored my relationship with Chris. And then Chris, they go to breakfast on Saturday mornings or Monday mornings or whenever. And it's amazing the knowledge that Chris has in his head on the Bible and the way he's able to share and grow and mentor. I think it's just incredible. Yes.
Are we talking about my cousin Chris here?
Yes. Yes. Your cousin Chris, he's going to get you next. You need to show up to breakfast on Mondays.
You need to show up for breakfast on Mondays,
Yeah, that's good.
8 o'clock.
And then it's grown out of the ladies having, you know, their Bible studies on Tuesday afternoons. It turns into an all-day affair now. So it's good, but, you know, Stacy comes home and she's on fire for what you've learned. And I have this guy at work. He's kind of trying to figure out, he's struggling in life, whether he's a Christian or a follower. You know, he grew up a little bit, you know, thinking one thing and then realizing that may not be the truth. And he said, what do y'all do in the evenings? I said, well, I did tell you yesterday evening. We left work, we came home, Stacy got my Bible, she put me in the chair and she says, hey, this is what we learned today, and this is what we're gonna study tonight. So she shared what y'all learned in Revelations, which is incredible. So it's been good, and I like it. And now Jared's here. God's gonna get a hold of you and do great things. God's gonna get a hold of Tony and do great things, right?
Man,
Are y'all going to the revival?
Reunion.
Yes. So that's another good thing is I get to go to Stacy's high school reunion.
Tony,
And
her husband,
I'll actually know 3 people there, Stacy and Kim and Tony. So it's all worked that way.
It's okay. There's not much.
What is it, the 10-year reunion?
No, it'll be 40 next year, yeah.
Almost a 10 year.
39 in Houghton. Yeah.
All right. So what I wanted to talk about is what Jesus called us to do. Let's start simple. I remember when Hershey first started his opening messages here, it was how to pray, you know, and we just broke it down real simple. And then I was going to a Bible study and we were studying Acts, a bunch of men, a bunch of big muscle men that, you know, typically would never break down and share their feelings and cry, and they're all law enforcement, ex-military and things like that. We just broke it down every week. I like that. So what did Jesus call us to do? Well, let's break it down, and I broke it down into 5 things. So you have your cheat sheets there, so you can follow along. But Jesus didn't just save you, he sent you, right? which that's the first fill in the blanks, I believe. So the first thing he calls us to do is he calls us to follow. So if you turn to Matthew 4:19 in your Bibles, it says, "And he said to them, 'Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men.'" And the Greek word is anthropai, which refers to both men and women. So what does that mean? So the core idea is follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Follow me is relationship based. Jesus didn't say fix yourself first. He said follow me. Christianity starts with relationships, not performance. And before God uses you, he wants you to be close to him. And then after it says follow me, it says I will make you, which is transformational. Jesus said, I will make you. Transformation is not your job, but surrender is our job. You agree with that? Yeah. If you follow him, you will be changed. And then fishers of men is a mission. We are called to reach people intentionally. If you are following Jesus, people will be on your heart. Not fix yourself first, not be perfect. We just follow. So in the next line, Christianity starts with relationship, not performance. And before God uses you, he wants you close to him. That's a clue there, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So are we following Jesus or just believing in him? Because there's a difference, right? There's a lot of people that believe in God, that go to church and agree with the Bible. But they're not actually following Jesus. I've had times in my life that I just went along because that was the right thing to do. That's the way we were raised, right? We were raised in church. You go to church, and then you go do whatever you want to do, and then you go back to church. So follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. Everything about your life with God is in that one sentence. So following is a decision. Jesus didn't say, think about it, pray about it, or come back later. He just said, follow me. Following Jesus is not a suggestion, but it's a decision. Peter didn't negotiate. Matthew didn't delay. They got up and they followed. And I've had that specific point in my life where I know that I said, I'm going to lay down my life for you, Jesus, and use me as a vessel. Whatever you want me to do. And that was 4 or 5 years ago, and my life has been radically changed since that period. But you can't follow Jesus and stay where you are. So it's always a fluid relationship. So following is identity. Here's where most people miss it. Jesus doesn't just change what you do, he changes who we are. Notice it, he says, I will make you. God is not just trying to improve your life, he's transforming our identities. You are not your past, you're not your mistakes, you're not your failures. You are who God says you are. So following Jesus means new identity, new thinking, and new direction. Sometimes it means strapping on the seatbelt, right? Because we're fixing to go on a ride. And I know on my ride 4 years ago, it took me to 11 different countries, 14 different mission trips in that very short period of time. And then following leads to purpose. Jesus doesn't just say, follow me. He says, I will make you fishers of men. Following always leads to purpose. You weren't just created to survive, pay bills, and get by. We were created to impact people. You don't find purpose in what you get, you find purpose in who you reach. Fishers of men means reaching people, influencing people, and bringing people to Jesus. That's our main calling. So if we look at what Jesus called us to do, that's all part of following him. And then it requires trust. So let's be honest, following Jesus is not always comfortable. It requires faith, it requires surrender, and it requires trust. You can't follow Jesus if you don't trust him. Because sometimes he will lead you where we don't understand, where we don't feel ready, and where we feel uncomfortable. But that's where the growth happens. Following Jesus means you decide to follow, you allow him to change you, you step in your purpose, and you trust him fully. If you follow Jesus, he will change you, and he will use you. God is not calling you to be perfect. He's just calling you to follow. I think that's good.
That's very good.
So the second thing, what Jesus called us to do is love. If you look at Matthew 22:37, go there. 37 through 39 is part of the Great Commandment. And in 37 it says, "And he said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." So love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Love is not an option, it's the foundation of our Christian walk. So if we break it down, love God first. Jesus started with loving God with all your heart. Not part of it, but all of it. Everything flows from your relationship to him. If you don't love God first, everything else gets out of order. Which I'm sure all of us in here have experienced.
Yeah.
Time and time again. Love people. I know when we go around the world, it's easy to love on people that you don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to love on people that you do know. It's hard to love on the guy across the street, plays his music too loud, or whatever the case may be. But Jesus connects loving God with loving people. This includes different people, hurting people, and even those who wrong you. Love is not based on feelings, it is a choice. You don't get to pick who you love. We try often, I think.
Yep.
Love is an action. Real love is demonstrated through action. Serving, forgiving, helping, and showing up. Jesus didn't just say he loved, he proved it. So we know that real love moves. So in your fill in the blank, love is the foundation. If we miss love, we miss Jesus. Love difficult people, love when it's hard, and real love moves. You know, here's what I've learned is everybody just wants to be loved. But not everybody knows how to love. And until you learn how to love people, you will never step into the life God has created for us. You have to keep in mind that loving people is not an option, but it's our calling. It's what Jesus called us to do. People are our purpose. God didn't put you on earth to just make money or build a life or chase success. He put us here for people. You don't find your purpose in what you do. You find your purpose in who you impact. Your life is about relationships. Your influence matters. And someone's life is waiting on our love. I've seen it through Stacy many times. We'll be in a restaurant, or we'll be on vacation, or we'll be wherever. And she may just have a simple word for somebody, but it's so impactful that they may not remember what she said, but they remember that somebody loved them that day. We've impacted them, and that's what we're called to do, is called to love. You don't love people because they deserve it. You love people because God loved us. Love when it's inconvenient, love when it's not returned, and love when it costs you something. And a lot of times that's something that could be just as easy as, our pride. Going over there and sharing. I think we were in Paris or somewhere. France. And Stacy's, these guys are sitting next to us. We're at the community table where they bring the first round and everybody kind of eats, but nobody knows who each other are. She says, "Hey, I got a word from you from God. It might sound odd to you." And they're like, "Well, it kind of does because we don't believe in God." So it was uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, they knew that God loved them, even if you don't believe in God. We've been walking through the jungle and we've prayed for people, and they'll say, "Oh, I don't want you to pray for me because I'm Muslim." God doesn't care that you're Muslim in that situation. God just wants to show your love, and He does that through us. Hurt people struggle to love people. If you don't deal with your hurt, you'll never pass it on to others. Hurt people, but healed people help you.
Oh, that's good.
So unforgiveness blocks love, offense hardens your heart, and healing frees you to love again. And some of us don't need more knowledge. Some of us just need healing. Different aspects of our life, right? And then the fourth part of love is how people see God. People don't experience God first, then theology. They experience Him through us. You might be the only Jesus someone ever sees. How many times have we heard that?
Yeah. Right?
And then we've talked, we know a preacher guy, and his line is, "I was on drugs and I did all the bad things in my life. And it wasn't until I was 25 or 30 or however old he was the first time somebody shared God's love with him. And he didn't know anything before that. And then just that one person radically changed his life. And now he's preacher and all that good stuff. So your kindness matters, your patience matters, and your word matters. Love is the evidence of God in our life. The fifth part is love people into transformation. We don't fix people, we love people. Because love does what pressure never could. You can't change people by controlling them, but love has the power to transform them. So people are your purpose. Love is a choice. Healing matters. We represent God, and love changes lives. If you want to change your life, start loving people better. Not always easy. That's what we're called to do. So Jesus called us to follow. He called us to love. And the third thing he did is he called us to go. So if you look at Mark 16, Mark 16, verse 15. Which is Mark's interpretation of the Great Commission. It says, "And he said to them, go into all the world and proclaim the gospel to the whole creation." I've always interpreted that as, hey, let's go into the world. Let's go to different countries. But it's really, let's go across the room. Let's go across the street. Let's go across town. So go into all the world and preach the gospel. The gospel is not meant to stay with us. It's meant to move through us. We are called to go. Jesus didn't say wait. He didn't say sit. He said go. Christianity is not passive. It's always active. This commandment is not just for pastors and missionaries. It's for all of us. The world is our mission field. All the world means doesn't go overseas. It includes everyday life. Our neighbors, our workplace, our family, our community. God has always placed people around you who need to hear the gospel. And then the third is preach the gospel. To preach means to proclaim or to share. This can be done through words, actions, and how you live. You don't need a stage. You just need to have a willing heart. And the gospel must move. Someone brought the gospel to you. Now it's our turn to carry it forward. So when you're fill in the blank, Christianity is not a sit faith. It is a go faith. The gospel came to you because it was on the way to somebody else. What does that mean? It means we were never meant to be the final destination of the gospel, only a carrier of it. God saved us, God changed us, God reached us so that we could help other people be reached. So the question is, when was the last time your faith actually moved you? Not just what you believe, not just what you know, but something you did because of your faith. Because here's the truth, a lot of people have a sit-down faith, and Jesus called us to have a go faith. And I may be saying this to you guys, but I'm saying it to me too. The core idea of Mark 16 is the gospel is not meant to sit with you, it's meant to move through you. The first point is Jesus said go, not stay. Jesus didn't say, let's stay comfortable, let's stay safe, let's stay where we are. He said go. Following Jesus always leads to movement. Faith that doesn't move is faith that isn't growing. So if we're getting real, it's easy to come to church, right? It's easy to hear the message. It's easy to agree with truth, but never actually moving. I've been there a lot of times in my life. Your world is your mission field. Jesus said, go into all the world. Our world is our family. It's our workplace. It's our neighbors. It's everybody that's involved in our life. You don't have to go across the world. You just have to go across the room. God has always placed people in your life, and it's on purpose. You are not where you are by accident. You're there by assignment. And then it says, preach the gospel. Some people hear preach and think stage, microphone, sermon, right? Then they break into a full sweat. But that's not what Jesus meant. You don't need a platform to preach. You just need a life that reflects Jesus. So really, this is what preaching should look like for all of us. Is sharing your story, loving people well, and speaking truth when it matters. It's not about being perfect, but it's about being willing. You don't need all the answers. You just need to point people to Jesus. I think that's important because I know I don't have all the answers. But if you get out there and do it and say, there's Jesus, this is my story, this is my testimony, this is who I know. Let's sit down and have a discussion. Because at some point, somebody prayed for us, somebody spoke to us, somebody invited us, and somebody loved us. And the gospel didn't start with us. The gospel came to you because it was on its way to somebody else. If it stops with you, it was never meant to be. Faith that stays contained becomes stagnant. I think us as Christians become stagnant sometimes too. And then we're talking about go, but go requires courage. Going takes courage. We might feel awkward. We might feel unprepared. And a lot of times we feel unsure. But courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward anyway. God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for willing people. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be available. And that's how I got started several years ago. I led the prayer of, or said the prayer of, I'm available. Use me how you want to. If my friends think I'm crazy, if my family thinks I'm crazy, not my personal family, my other family.
Well, you thought I was crazy.
Well, I did. And I think even, we always make the joke, but, my son Ross thought you were crazy about a lot of things.
For a long time, yeah.
Until he saw it. He saw it in our living room. Jesus showed up in our living room. We prayed for somebody, and we saw a healing right there in front of everybody. And some people said, I don't believe it. Some people said, I'm inspired by it. But you can't sit there and not have an opinion on the way it goes. And then 2 weeks later, we took him on a mission trip. And he was praying for people. And he didn't know, he just had faith. It says go. Jesus called us to go. So I went. Stacy's been going for a long time. And then I went. And then we got Ross went. And we've had several other people that have gone. And you just got to be willing. Jesus said go. Your world is your mission. You don't need a platform. The gospel must move. And courage is required. So if people think that Christians are weak, they're wrong. It takes a lot of courage to be a Christian. If you follow Jesus, you will move. If you don't move, you're not fully following. God didn't save us to sit. He saved us to go. So go is the third thing Jesus called us to do. And then if you look at the fourth thing, it says make disciples. So if we look at Matthew 28:19. Matthew 28:19, the last chapter in Matthew. It says, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We're not just called to believe, we are called to build people.